going on, guys? My name's Taylor. This is my 2011 Dodge Ram 1500 5.7 HEMI in it. So this is the introduction to this build. Since I already did a couple things, I had this truck for over 2 years. So I upgraded the suspension and a couple other cosmetic things. This truck has over 200,000 miles, and the reason I went with suspension is because it was falling apart. So I did that. It wasn't really a big deal. I was just trying to get it drivable again. But I want to talk about the reason why I went with this generation of 1500s and why I chose a 1500 over a Charger, a Challenger, or a Durango, Grand Cherokee, or anything like that. So for this build specifically, I'm going to get started with rebuilding the engine. With this truck having over 200,000 miles, it ended up having a cam and lifting failure, which I went into knowing that it was eventually going to happen, and I was going to upgrade it anyway. It happened sooner than I was expecting it, but regardless, it happened. So I'm going to take out the engine, rebuild it from the bottom end up, and upgrade the actual camshaft and stuff. So I'm going to share that with you guys. But I specifically want to talk about why I went with a Ram 1500. So if you don't know, I did have a 2017 Dodge Durango RT, also with the 5.7 HEMI. I since sold that and picked this up. With this being the 2011, it worked out perfectly with being in my price range. The Durango was a little bit more expensive, it being newer, and it still didn't have all the bells and whistles that I would have wanted for that price range. But I did love that that vehicle, truck, whatever you want to call it. I picked this up. I actually did have both of them at one point, and I was letting my fiance drive it. But I've sold that, and I picked this up, being in Chicago and the Chicagoland area. The Durango was rear-wheel drive. That's really the main reason why I sold it, was rear-wheel drive, and it being an SUV, I would like to have four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. But for the price I was paying for it, it was just out of my budget, being that I have little ones now, and I'm looking to buy a house or move out of my parents' house. This is my parents' house property, and the main reason I went with this is because it was cost effective. It keeps my family safe. It still has the fun of a Charger, Durango, whatever you want to call it. It's more practical, being that I do want to own a house at some point. I am a mechanic, entry level, so I do want to start doing my side projects and just running tours around and stuff. It's nice to have a pickup bed. So I ended up falling in love with just pickup trucks in general. I do love HEMIs. I used to work at a GM dealership for 2 years, also entry level, but I've seen a plethora of the 5.3s, 6.2s, and just other LS motors. They're nice. I'm not gonna knock that or anything. Obviously, any truck that is gonna catch my eyes out of my price range, but being that I've drove them and stuff, something just didn't speak to me as much as these HEMIs do. So I can't hide it. I do love HEMIs, whatever you want to call it. You like what you like. So I fell in love with the 1500, so I picked that one up. The reason I went with this one is because obviously it being older, higher mileage, it was perfect for my price range, and I can pay it off sooner. It is finance. Ended up paying a little bit more than I should have for this, but it still was an excellent price. It being the condition that it's in. It has over 200,000 miles, so eventually I knew the engine was going to need to be looked at or have something over. But the biggest issues with these engines is the cam and lifters. So that's something dealing with HEMIs you want to upgrade anyway to increase horsepower. So I wasn't really too afraid of it having high mileage So I picked this up for steel. It does have it's a HEMI model, so it has leather interior, sunroof. Did have a older radio. I already swapped that out. But basically, this is the perfect platform for me to build and continue building in the future. Obviously, it does have some cosmetic issues. It has a rust, being in the Chicagoland area, Midwest, salt and stuff. All that stuff is going to be taken care of. So the question is, why did I end up going with this 1500, and why am I putting the effort and the money and the time to rebuild this, not getting something a little bit newer, or just go with a Grand Cherokee or Durango, or something along those lines if I want to add power and stuff. The biggest thing is budget, obviously, is a big deciding factor, and just basically what I like. As I mentioned, I did have a 2011 Durango, and ever since I had that, I just like being higher up. Obviously, it being an SUV, it just feels different, like you kind of on the road. It's just preference, to be honest, and it's just something about this 1500. From the day I bought it, I fell in love with it. Even before I actually owned it, I was looking around and just something in me wanted to have a pickup truck. Like I mentioned, I do have kids, so I feel safe with them being in there. Even if I do up the horsepower, which I'm going to do, it's not going to be a small Charger, rear-wheel drive. I don't have to worry about the safety and the attention that I'm going to get as compared to this. And it being the truck version, it just has a little bit more, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just different. You feel like you're on the road. So I went with this one because it popped up at a dealership close to my house, and as soon as I saw it, it just caught my eye. It had most of the bells and whistles that I wanted. Obviously, it's a little bit of an older, like the first model of this generation, so it does have the 5-speed still. I want to upgrade that to 8-speed. Whether I do that or not, I don't know. It has 355 gearing in the front and rear, so I eventually want to upgrade that maybe, because I am upgrading camshaft, and I got bigger tires already on it, so I got 35 inches. The interior, obviously that's where I'm going to be sitting in, so I do want to upgrade that, but it's not really a priority as much as getting the engine back together and having the vehicle, the truck, the way I want it to look. So the reason why I went with this, a Ram, instead of a F-150 or a Silverado or a GM Sierra, is I simply love the Hemis. There's no other way around it. I worked at a GM dealership for 2 years. I've seen a whole plethora of 5.7s, not 5.3s and 6.2s, and there was just something about them that didn't really speak to me. Obviously, them coming to the shop, even with a custom exhaust, you hear them and you notice them and stuff. I'm not gonna knock, they are nice, but we had a Dodge dealership right up the street, and just every time HEMI came around, you just knew it. You know, something just spoke to me. And I haven't seen my fair share of Coyote 5-liter Fords, because most of the new ones have EcoBoost in them, but they're nice. At my new job, I did see one with the upgraded engine. I don't know the exact model, but that one did catch my eye. But still a newer truck. Price difference with this and this. I could upgrade this and make it look like a newer model, or I can make it look like something completely custom. If you do your research with these models, these 1500s, the customization options is endless. You can make this look like a new truck, you can make it look like a custom truck. You go all overboard with this stuff. You can even helicopter swap it, and you could do whatever you want with this. It's much as any other truck, but specifically I do like the Hemis. There's just something about them that speaks to me. So I went with around 1500. People tried to talk me out of it, obviously because of the cam and hip lifting failure, which happens to me. But all of them have their own problems. I am a mechanic. I have the means, the knowledge to fix it. It's just when it happens, obviously I would prefer this to happen later in my life when I eventually have my own shop and at least to do it myself and take my time with it, or at least a garage. I'm going to be doing this outside in my driveway. That's the main reason why I'm going to pull the engine out, so I can work out here as little as possible, just to pull it out for the warm comfort of my garage and rebuild it and take my time with it. It may not look like it. It's sunny out. It's the beginning of February, so still 35 degrees out, and that's nice right now. But it has been sitting for almost 2 months. Hasn't been started yet. So I'm gonna get started stripping everything down. Put the battery in, let it run, let it heat up so I can turn the oil out, get the coolant out, and pull the whole front end out. So another big question I want to touch on is, why am I rebuilding the engine on this? Why not just replace it? It being over 200,000 miles and with the camera lift failure, there's probably so much damage. Well, I don't think there's much damage, but the question arises, is there so much damage to the engine where it's even salvageable? And the biggest thing is, you don't know until you look at it. My way of thinking at it, it ran beautifully before the cams fell out, and it being over 200,000 miles, it had one owner, and it seemed like it was well taken care of. I simply could just buy a used engine and put it in, but that's not really fixing the issues with these HEMIs. So if I go get another engine, who's to say in 5,000 to 6,000 miles, well, 50 or however long many miles, that engine would have the same problem. I do want to fix the problem and make sure it doesn't happen again, as well as getting some upgrades out of it, making it the way I want to make it. Obviously with these HEMIs, you know, the sky's the limits since the introduction of the Hellcat. You got the SRT, the 6.4. So why am I staying with the 5.7? Why am I just rebuilding this one? Biggest thing is budget. Obviously, I think these 5.7s make enough power to begin with. I'm not racing. I don't drag race. I am a mechanic. My bread and butter is having a valid driver's license, so I'm not street racing or anything by any means. And I'm not going to drag strip. That's not what I want to do. We all have the same speed limits. I want my truck to get to the speed limit faster. That's all I want to do with it. So the 5.7 is more than enough for me, but I do think it's bottlenecked from the factory. That's why I love them. They have so much potential. I always think that the 6.4 is pretty much maxed out from the factory. 5.7, same platformer essentially, but 6.4 is just a 5.7 on steroids. It is maxed out. You can get all the power, most of the power you can with a 6.4 from this 5.7 if you do it properly. Obviously, that includes going with rebuilding the whole bottom end, forged internals, regapping the rings, getting forged crankshaft, all this stuff. You know, numbers just pile on. You want to supercharge it, add force induction, whatever you want to do, add nitrous. I really don't want to do anything. I do want to add a blower to it, but not to make crazy amount of horsepower, just to make it more efficient. So like I said, these are restricted or bottled out from the factory. So I just want to open it up a little bit, and I want to do it safely. That's why I want to rebuild it from the bottom up. I want to put new rings in it, maybe new pistons. Don't know about the connecting rods or anything. I really want to know until I take it out and look at it, inspect it. I don't think the bottom end has any damage, to be honest. I really don't even think the camshaft is the problem. Obviously the spring wasn't really compressing fully, so something is going on, but I won't know until I actually look at it. But I was looking at pricing and stuff. There is, it being over $200,000, there is all this different stuff on the upgrade. Like I'm doing the radiator, the AC compressor right now, so I already did that. So I need to do the condenser, do new hoses, get rid of the clutch fan, getting the thermostats and stuff, and just basic maintenance for it being this mileage. Stuff that I want to upgrade. So I really can't fathom purchasing forged internals and stuff. Then if I go forged internals, I might as well get the 8-speed in there. Then might as well just get the whip of superchargers. Then I might as well just port the heads. I might as well, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And that's not really what I'm looking for. At that point, yeah, I might as well just go buy 6.4. I don't have the money for that. So with this being 5.7, I can budget out what I really need to do, and I can upgrade the stuff later as it comes. So that's my reason of rebuilding this. I can build it the way I want to. I can take my time with it and just have my fun with it. Obviously, I can just put a Hellcat in, but the question is, what's next? We already spent $15,000 on an engine. The way things look for me is nothing next after that. I don't even have $15,000 for that. So I did order most of the stuff already. I have the upgrading components I was actually in the middle of fixing a transmission leak before the actual engine went out on me. It actually does run beautifully now though. It's just when you get above 2,000 RPMs, it starts to freak out. But it still runs perfectly. I could drive it if I wanted to, but obviously it's not smart. But I was in the process of fixing a transmission leak, and I was going to get a new pan, new fluid filter and stuff, swap out the fluid, and then it took a dump on me. So I still got those parts. I got the new line that was leaking. So I got a lot of moving parts with this build. I'm going to focus on the engine now. I'm going to take it out completely. And I still need a new engine crane, new engine stand and stuff, and just to complete the job. Obviously, I wish I could take this to work and do it there, but I'm working, so that's not really an option. So we'll do it here, and I can take my time with it. I'm going to do it mostly on the weekends. So get started like 6, so that's right when I get off. So maybe I can do it when I get off. Got flashlights and stuff, but I'm going to be doing it on the weekend. Take my time with it. I've since bought this beater over here, this Lexus. That needs work too, but we'll worry about that when I get there. Main focus is getting this back up and running before summer, because this is my bread and butter right here. I love this truck. So we'll start tearing this down, getting the front end off. I do, as you can see, headlights are foggy, so I am gonna probably end up replacing those. I want to update the look, but I do have a restoration kit, so I'm gonna restore those, put new headlights in them, see how that goes. Maybe it'll last me for a while because the headlights are expensive. I do want to get all the chrome off of it, so I'll worry about that when I get it perfect to do it. I have a bumper off, but that's another project for another time. This isn't going to be like a tutorial or how-to video of tearing down the engine or anything. There's plenty of videos on YouTube. You guys can look that up. I'm going to maybe do some time lapses of tearing it down or whatever, but and share some key points with you guys. But main thing I want to do is get this out, assess the damage, go from there. And it's mainly going to be a budget build. I don't really have the money to be doing anything more than that. So let's get this out. Let's get the ball rolling. Like I mentioned, this is the beginning of February, so I'm going to set up a little canopy. So when it does snow or anything, I'm not screwed or anything. So we can set that up. I'm going to throw the battery back in and see if I can get it running and make it a little bit easier to drain the oil and stuff out.
So
I got it up and running. You guys can probably hear it ticking. I do think I have an exhaust, the HEMI 6 exhaust headers leaking or something too. So I do got headers to replace that. Like little shorty headers or whatever. Just cheap ones off Amazon. Obviously I wanted to go long tube, feel like I was mentioning earlier. Get long tubes, might as well do everything and stuff, and the price just goes up and up and up and up. So I can always upgrade those in the future if I want to. But while I was diagnosing the actual camshaft and stuff, I took this valve cover off to inspect the springs, and I ended up, I don't know, I did something with this cap and it's not sealing or something, and coolant just spraying everywhere when it's under pressure. So that's what all this mess is. I do got new stuff anyway, so I wasn't worried about that. But when I was putting the valve cover back on, it was a pain in the ass to get it through all the wires and stuff and everything. And I ended up rolling that, the gasket, so it does leak, and it leaks right onto the exhaust, so it's burning and it smells horrible. So another reason why I want to pull the engine out, so I can get the valve covers back on properly and put it all together, drop it in the engine. It being over 200,000 miles, I want to redo the motor mounts, get new motor mounts in, and if you do it while it's in the engine, you got to drop the front diff, and everyone says those bolts getting to those is a pain in the ass. So I feel like getting to the torque converter bolts would also be a pain in the ass, and I'd rather do that. That way I can at least pull it out and inspect the bottom end, because I gotta remove the pan anyway. So I can pull it out, and I can even replace the rear main seal. I can look at the cam bearings. I already got new cam bearings and not cam bearings, main bolts and stuff. I got new crank rods. I got new main bearings. And, probably new crank rod bearings coming. And I can do that for taking the engine out. And you guys can't see it, but the engine block looks absolutely horrible. It's like all rusted and stuff. So I'm gonna take that out, at least clean it up, see if I can repaint it. And just address any other leaks that I may have. Obviously, with it, I'm adjusting the power, and it's going to operate outside of the factory specs, so I want to make sure it is a healthy engine, and just at least look everything over. I replaced the alternator and the belt already before. I am going to upgrade the hermetic adapter with a 15-degree underdrive pulley, so I do got to replace the belt anyway. I'm gonna do the power steering fluid. Like I said, I got a new fan with the V6E fan, so I'm gonna replace the clutch fan, take some strut off the water pump. I got a new water pump. Nothing special. I think it's like a Gates model or something, so it's not OE, but it should do just fine. I did think the compressor was what caused my problems, but you know, if anything on the drive belt system is not operating properly, it can slow down the belt and cause a leak, well, cause like a suspected misfire. So I thought that the AC compressor was causing my issue, but I replaced that and still had misfires. Whatever. So I got a new AC compressor anyway because I needed it. So they recommend replacing the condenser. You replace the AC. So I still got the lines evacuated because I never added Freon vector system. So I got a new AC condenser. Got a new upper coolant hose, new lower coolant hose. I ended up going with the Mark 82 FRP Flying Around Performance Cam. pretty much the max you can get with stock converter. No stall, anything. I think the Tomahawk is actually the max, but you're still pushing it. So I went with the Mark 82 because that's what the most optimal setup for my power that I'm going for. I eventually do want to get the 6.4 truck intake manifold. Just rambling, not even recording what I'm talking about. But I do want to get the 6.4 ram intake. I eventually do want to supercharge this. I'm thinking about going with the Torque Storm supercharger because that's the most cost effective. I just love the way it sounds. I've seen a couple videos on it. I'm not sure if the setup will allow me to run a Hellcat supercharger. I know a lot of people make all of the work for the 5.7s, but with this being a truck, you got the alternator up top, and the intake goes the opposite way. So I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work with the truck. But I'm not looking to make that much power anyway, so the Torque Storm supercharger seems perfect for me. And being that I do want to supercharge it, I am going to end up gapping the rings, so it's better for me to take the engine out anyway, just to get that done. But as I was mentioning, it does, you can hear it, it runs beautifully right now. I think I got some leaks or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what's leaking over there. Got the AC line, cooling line. But everything will be addressed while I have it out. Not sure the color scheme I'm gonna go with. I do want to paint the block. Red is my favorite color. I was thinking about going with like HEMI orange or something, but it's not Hellcat or anything. So, and orange will just go off my color scheme that I do want to go with. So I'm probably gonna paint the block red. Make some other stuff on here red too to match it. I'm not sure exactly what I want to go with, but that's going to be further down the line. Main thing is I want to get this engine out, rebuilt, and back and running as soon as possible. I'm just getting this thing heated up now. It's option of whether you want to add in, well, it's not an option. With these engines, it's not really recommended to add any like what is it, engine cleaner before doing it. I got it right here. This is the valve clean, but I got some stuff to clean out the engine before you do an oil change, just to get all the gunk and stuff out the cylinder heads and whatever. I figured because the camshaft probably went out, and I probably got metal circulating stuff, and if I do get gunk, I can get the gunk out with the metal if it is something in there. So I'm gonna add some engine cleaner to it, let it run for a minute, then I'm gonna drain it out, and taking it out, cleaning the block anyway, so no harm, no foul. I'm not sure if that'll work like everyday engines, regular maintenance. Probably stay away from that doing regular maintenance, just stay on top of my intervals. Since I did have it for 2 years, I ended up only putting about 6,000, 7,000 miles on it since I had it. And I was regularly doing my oil changes every 3,000 miles. I barely drove it that much. My job was only like 5 miles here, and I just drove it there and back. Really drove it that often, especially when I did have a Durango. That would be my main go-to place when I was driving anything further. Excuse me. But like I said, it seems like it was well taken care of. The owner that had it before me, I want to take care of it. So I'm gonna pull the whole thing out, make sure I got all the necessary running components to make it as efficient, run as efficiently as it can. Probably hear that ticking out. I did end up replacing the spark plugs already. About, I want to say 3,000 or 4,000 miles ago. So while I do have it apart, I'm not going to upgrade the spark plugs because there's 16 of them. Ideally, you want to replace the spark plugs while you got the cylinder heads out anyway. They're still fresh. Coil packs, they really don't go back that often, so keeping those set up. Cylinder head side. The kit came with new springs and stuff, so I got some valves clean. I'm going to clean the valves with, relap them. Ideally, with running the boosted setup, you would want to port the heads. I've seen some videos on it. If I do dabble in that, I might port the heads myself. I know most performance they offer some ported heads that you can just buy them. I think MMX offers the porting services where you can send them in and get ported. It honestly doesn't seem that hard to port them. Obviously, it's tedious work, so I can understand why you want to have them professionally done. But that's really more for like extreme power gains. If I could make 500 horsepower to the wheels, I would be more than happy. My job does actually do custom dyno tunes, so I spoke to my the owner already. He said he'd probably get me in for a tune as long as I can get it up and running and drive it there. We can take care of it from there. But I want to get as much stuff done here, the mods done, I can put on that needs tunes. So I can just tell them my build list and then go over there and get it on a dyno. The biggest thing too is going to be on a dyno, so it's going to be broken hard. So I want to make sure it's hard on me and as healthy as it can be. It breathes properly. I want to make sure the intake and stuff is good. I know what major damage to replace the intake manifold, at least because we have metal circulating through there and get back in the engine. I did actually, they had a deal with the Grand Cherokee L. No, I think it was the Wagoneers, the 6.4. They had a deal where the intakes was I think like $400 or $500, but I was a little bit too late on those deals, so they sold out. I used that money for other mods, so eventually I do want to upgrade the intake. So we'll see how that goes, especially if I do end up supercharging, how that works, if it lines up properly or anything. And that's pretty much it. Like I mentioned, I did have some transmission stuff that I was going to do to it, so I got the engine out. I can replace that line a little bit easier, and I can get the fluid in and out. I got a fluid extractor, so I can suck the fluid out if it reaches. So I don't make it that big of a mess down below. Just drop the pan, put the new filter and stuff on and put it back in. That way I can also measure how much fluid is out, so I can put it back in. And then it can start up and tune it in as I get the engine back up and running. But like I said, I'm rambling on now. There's just so much moving parts with a build like this that I want to do everything right. I want to do it properly so it's done right. Because you know you're saying do it right or do it twice. So that's what I'm looking at now. Let it run for a little bit longer, let it heat it up, and then drop that engine thinner in and drain out the motor and stuff and get this build started. I really can't wait to have it back.